Well, welcome everyone to the Future Proofing Your Practice session. I actually wanted to change the title because that's what I like doing, and I wanted to call it Future Proofing Your Business because the reality is you're all in business. So the point about the session today is really to consider the client-accountant relationship and how that has to change, how you need to review what it is in terms of the client relationship in view of the changes in legislation, technology, and how can you put the foundations in place to future-proof your business going forward. And luckily for me, I've got three people here who are more knowledgeable on that subject than I am. So I think we've got a couple of slides. So really, those are really the bullet points we've got up there, which I'm going to ask Sharon to kick us off with an introduction about her business and also how she sees the change in client relationship and how some of these points will come into play as the discussion evolves this afternoon. So Sharon, just a little bit about what it is you do, your business, and how you got to actually sit here today to discuss future proofing.
Okay, I'm not really sure. No, I've been running my accountancy practice just over 10 years, and just in the last 3 years, I've completely embraced everything online. Xero, Receipt Bank. There's some of our add-on partners in the room, Chaser, Practice Ignition. There's loads of stuff that we use, Google Apps and everything. So the last 3 years, the business has just snowballed. It's gone from strength to strength. We've got lovely clients that we deal with. So I guess what we're going to talk about today is, we were saying earlier, how do you future-proof your practice? How do we know what the future looks like? But I think we all know that there's lots of change happening. It isn't something that you can ignore. So really, these key points we're going to talk through, because it's what we believe is the main points that you need to look at if you are trying to future-proof your practice. So we're going to go through them one at a time, really, and feel free to ask questions. So we're all going to just chip in.
Yeah, chip in as we go along. And just before we discuss vision and how important any starting point is, hence vision, Rachel, just a little bit about yourself and your business and the fact that you actually are a client.
So Business Checkmate has existed for 4 years. We're a Herefordshire-based organisation, but don't let the Herefordshire postcode fool you. We work nationally and internationally with leadership teams, looking to inform leadership best practice within the corporate environment. And then a large and equally important part of what we do, Growth Accelerator, Nelson alluded to it earlier, is a government-funded initiative that's looking to work with businesses that are seeking to achieve rapid and sustainable growth. So we work a lot with small to medium enterprises that are looking to take that journey into rapid and sustainable growth. And that's what actually led me to Sharon in the first instance. We worked together through the Growth Accelerator programme and then actually linked our resources in order to best enable the joint clients that we now work with.
And you've been a very big influence on Sharon in terms of her client relationship and in formulating that.
And the strategic part as well, we work well together.
Yeah.
It's a complementary relationship.
So Rachel's my growth coach, but we also work together on lots of clients, as Rachel said. So, yes, she's been a big part in me future-proofing the practice, if you like, and what the vision is.
And just, Karen, you're an accountant.
Well,
people will be surprised
it's a good place to start. I studied accountancy. I have never, I'm going to admit this now, worked as an accountant because I worked as an auditor, and then I got hired by an accountancy firm, and within 6 months of working as an auditor, they said, do you want to do this new business development consultancy stuff? And I was like, sure, what is it? It sounds interesting. And I just did that, and then I got into marketing and consulting. So I have worked in and with the accountancy industry for about 20 years, and lots of accountants, and I know the industry well, but I am both a accountant by study and an artist. Maybe some of you saw my sketchnoting, and those two don't usually go together, but that's why the Profitable Firm exists, because we are a creative agency for accountants. So we do content and design, and we take our knowledge of the accountancy industry and combine it with the marketing tools that you want and need in terms of of content, by which words, blogs, videos, whatever, and good imagery and good graphics and good websites. And to have somebody, our clients find that to have somebody, you don't have to explain Xero and Receipt Bank and Crunchboards and Iris and any of this stuff. We know, we understand, and we're working with lots of accountants on it, but everything it should be, your marketing always should be customized to you and to your particular firm. So
Perfect.
That's what we do.
Thank you. So to kick off, Sharon, would you like to take us through maybe your journey in terms of discovering the vision and what that actually means to you?
I think this is the most important thing you need to think about, which Rachel, I'm sure, will elaborate on, is knowing where you're going. What is your vision for your firm and yourself, so work-life balance and everything, and what is your vision going forward 3, 5, 10 years? Because once you understand that, then you can put all of the other building blocks into place.
And it's extremely important, just the fact that everything's changing. Like we alluded to earlier, technology, legislation, client relationship, it's a good plan to start trying to figure out what the future is going to look like.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, so Sharon, probably not thank me for saying this, but when Sharon and I first sat down, and so often is the case when you're involved with them, careful, she said careful quietly, when you're involved with businesses and when you live and breathe it every day, it's so easy to become ingrained in being involved in that business, and very difficult then to take the holistic view and think, okay, what does the future look like? How do I inform that? So a huge part of what we would do is sit down and say not only, what does the next 3 years look like? So we'd say your vision is your shining beacon of light that you align behind, and your employees and your team align behind, but actually it very much informs for your customer base, this is what we stand for as a business, this is what we allude to, this is what good looks like for us. So an equally important part of that would be we have a vision, so we know where the roads are leading to of success. It gives us an opportunity to celebrate that success when we get there. That's really important. Let's be able to celebrate the good journey that we're on and the good results we're achieving. And it actually helps inform for those around us. It helps inspire and energize those who are on the journey with us as well.
And it's no coincidence, in a sense, that Sharon has been achieved the success that she has achieved, because I find accountancy one of the oddest businesses I've ever been involved in. Because I'll tell you why. So if you look at Receipt Bank, we designed the product. We then went out and delivered that product, and there's people who had a want or a need for the product. Some of you in the room bought the product. When you come to accountancy, not even a third party, another body designs the product, in this case, the government. The client doesn't really have a need or a want for the product, so reluctantly has to pay for it, and you all sit in the middle delivering it. And where the world is moving to, and that's the point, I think, of the whole session today is, as a business, all of you in this room today are going to become product designers, product innovators, because you're going to have a vision of what your business is going to look like, and I can guarantee you it's going to be very different to what your business looks like today. So in terms of the vision, I know, Karen, you work a lot with accounting firms out there. How do you see them, I don't know, accepting the fact that this is probably the very first step in the process?
I think this is, of course, the perfect place to start is trying to look ahead. But as Nelson has said, and Sharon and I were discussing this last night, the whole concept of future proofing seems to infer that there's bad things coming and you need to protect. And we were saying, first off, you don't know what's coming, good or bad. It's going to come, but you can't see them at this stage, so you're just trying to invest that. But there is an element to which, as accountants, there's a tendency to go, okay, let's get ready for all the bad things. And there are going to be some difficult things coming up, but there's going to be some amazing, there already are some amazing, phenomenal things. And what excites me is when accountants, when it comes to the future, are not actually looking at future-proofing necessarily. We're laughing about the fact the first thing I did was take issue with the title, and I thought I was going to have a team in Nelson, but it turns out he wants to change the word practice, which I support as well. So we just changed the whole title from future-proofing your practice to looking forward to the future for your business. But
I'll second that.
Is that okay?
So we've just been changed.
So that's what I get excited about accountants who do that, who look to the future and say, there's more of this amazing stuff that's happening now that's going to happen, and it's not a threat to me. If I address it now, and this is absolutely the truth, if you address this now, then you will be in an amazing position in the future. Yeah. And I can tell you the accountants that didn't get this a couple years ago with the whole 0 plus add-ons thing are wishing they did.
Yeah, and that's a very good point, because I know one of the points there, and I thought one of the last points we're going to touch on is attitude, and I thought we were going to keep that right towards the end, but actually the second one, and that's a great introduction to this, because it's it's the attitude. So Sharon has got is it the most likable accountant, the forever happy accountant? Everyone that knows Sharon, I meet anyone in this business, and I've only been in this business 2.5 years. So before that, I was a consultant, and the only time we spoke about accountants was when a client was saying to me, "Nelson, do you know a good accountant?" That's the only time accountants came into the conversation. But anyone I meet and we speak about Sharon, everyone knows Sharon who's met Sharon, because they just remember this happy person. And in terms of attitude, I mean, that's been huge for you, your attitude. But I know they call my little girl Smile at school, because she's always smiling. But trust me, at home I've seen her; she doesn't always smile. So I know there's always bad that comes along with the smiles. But I mean, how important is attitude?
Massively, I think. I hear what you're saying. I don't see me as that, but I think we're in a really, really good space at the moment. I've been an accountant forever and a day, but as I said, the last 3 years have been amazing. I think we're really lucky to have what's going on at the moment and to be part of this massive change. And accountancy can be a bit dull. What do we think? Bit dull. So to be able to work with some of the solutions that we do and clients that we do and amazing business partners, it's really good fun. So it's a really fun place. There is a dark side. It does come out. Elaine will tell you it comes out every now and then. But I think that's it. It's amazing working with the solutions that we do and the people that we do, and it does make me happy.
I was purely going to add to that, absolutely. And if you think about it in the technical terms, if you become like the 5 people you spend your most time with, is actually, so when you're looking at a business attitude and the impact you have on those around you, if you've got a real get up and go and a real can-do attitude about you, and also that's inviting, so it has that strong people emotional intelligence around it, actually then your ability to positively influence those around you, so those people working for you alongside those that are working with you and clients, then the reach of that attitude is extended. It goes on and on.
It's exponential, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I would add that impacts your marketing in a massive way, because, I mean, Sharon's a perfect example. We consider ourselves, great friends, and, oh, it's so lovely to see you. It's been so long. And that all came because we connected on Twitter, and we
Twitter
just chatted. But yeah, literally, Twitter BFFs. You don't have to go that route, by the way, to each their own. But you do have to let your personality come out, whatever it is. It's really important, because people want to connect with you as a person. So I had a client who we were talking about videos, and I said, I think after just something he had shared with me, it took him about a minute to share it, and I'm like, that is just critical to your firm. Let's do a video. And he goes, oh, I don't think people want to, see me on the website. I said, if somebody came in to meet with you, would you put them in one room and you'd sit in another and sit on the phone? He goes, no, of course not. I said, this is what you're doing. You're letting them meet you before they meet you. So if your attitude is, and your personality comes out, then they get to meet you, and it makes the whole sales process and the success of your accountancy firm so much easier, because if for any reason they don't click with you, you've skipped all that hard work of emails and meetings, and then they go, never mind, and they give you some fake excuse, and you don't really know why. And this way, you cut all of that out and you only meet with the people who actually like you.
Exactly that. And the point about, we always hear this word bantered around entrepreneurial. And I was always asked, what is an entrepreneur? And a lot of it comes down to attitude. So I almost had a litmus test when I used to walk into clients for the first time. And you all heard it before, it's the the glass, half empty, half full. And I'll never forget the one person I walked into who's a very successful business person now, extremely successful. I should have maybe listened to him when he said, are you interested in coming into business with me? It's one of those that you miss. But when I asked him the question, he said to me, full. And I looked at him, I thought, okay, he's a wise guy. And he said, yeah, it's half full of water and half full of air. And from that day on, you actually, just that attitude, it doesn't matter what it is. We know the future is going to come. It's just embracing the fact that the future is going to be different to what it is today. And that the best way to prepare ourselves for that is to have a vision and to have the right attitude.
I'd
starters.
also say attitude for me is all about challenging the norm. It's all about, with all of the softwares that we're using, we're always looking at new online softwares. It's about challenging how they work. So we'll come on to this a bit later as well. So we don't just take a software and expect it to work. I'm interrogating it. I'm speaking to these guys and going, could you not do this? Can it do this? Why doesn't it do this? And then the brilliant add-ons, the ones, some of them are in the room, they'll fix it then, or they'll improve it. And so we're having a really good part of helping that add-on or improving that add-on. So it's a challenging attitude. It's an inquisitive attitude. It's not just having a happy attitude. Yeah, it's all of that as well. You can't, if you're going to be looking forward and embracing the changes that are coming, even if you don't know what they are, you need to be inquisitive and challenging and just don't accept what's coming towards you.
Sharon's made a very good, relevant point right there, because obviously we work with a lot of accountants, and we work with a lot of accountants in different regions. And what's happened is some coming to the talking about software, you've got these accounting firms that, like in the UK, they've got Sage, and they've pulled out Sage and pulled in, Xero, QuickBooks Online, Cashflow, whatever it is, Free Agent. They've plugged it in the spot that used to house Sage, and they sit back and say, well, let the magic begin. And then they're actually surprised when the magic doesn't begin. One thing that's you're going to notice through all of this, in terms of vision, attitude, the clients, the technology, the systems, is no matter what you think your business model is today, that's not the business model you're going to need for the future. So if you look at Sharon's business model, it's not a traditional accounting business model. She's had to develop a business model. She's taken the processes in order to deliver that business model, and then she's used technology to enable and augment that business model. So if you only leave with one thing here today, is that whatever your business model is, throw it away, because it actually has to be a new business model and a new thinking of it.
Can I add a book to that? There's a book called The Profit Zone, and I can't remember the surnames of the authors because they're very long and complicated, but if you Google The Profit Zone. And I read the book and connected with a lot of what it was saying, just what Nelson was talking about with a business model. He was saying exactly that. You're going to start with a business model, and then it will change, and it needs to change. And I read the whole book, and I underlined practically 80% of it, putting stars and notes and post-it notes. And I was reading an old school book on paper. That's how I like to read books, despite all this digital marketing. Gets me focused. Finished the book, wrote a book review on it, and then realized it had been written well over 18 years ago, I think. And that, to me, said even more than what I got from the book. This guy had seen ahead. So the book is still applicable when you read it in 2015, and that, I think, is an example of what we're talking about with addressing the future. He saw it coming and said, get to the root of it, get your business model right, and then keep changing it.
Perfect. So
moving on. Sarah.
There we go. Clients, the root of all business. hate them or love them. I'm sure we've all got some clients we wish weren't clients. We can't say that at Receipt Bank. We don't have those. Trust me, we don't have those. Luckily for me, none of them are in this room today, because this wouldn't be a place they would be seen dead at, because this means they're actually accepting the fact that, change is coming and they need to do something about it, which is, no one's asked a question yet. And I'm a bit nervous when people, there we go, first question, yeah, we go.
And I think there are two questions, and we'll go to all of you. There are external market pressures, so changes in the way customers would buy packaged services, and there are internal changes, so your appetite for risk or your propensity to change internal processes. You said be inquisitive. At what point, if you don't have such a high appetite for risk, at what point do you decide that that you shouldn't be changing too many things? That there are 100 apps that can do something. At what point does your team get frustrated with you as a practice owner? You generally, all of us. At what point do our teams get frustrated with us for changing things around?
I would first of all say, as much as I'm saying we've changed everything, it didn't happen overnight. So I think the important thing, if you can, is to really get on top of one change first, or one solution, and then once you've got that, I'm lucky. I own the business. I've got 3 staff, so it's relatively easy for me to say, right, we're going to do this. But if I was one of 5 directors, so many managers, so many staff, so many more clients than we have, it would be much more difficult. But yeah, I would say don't attack it all at once in any way. You've got to look at what's important, what's the most important first, and do that one. But it's really important to involve the staff and, get one of them to research an add-on, or, work with one of them on something. I would say that's the way to do it. There are risks, but I think that's the key, is to do it at your own speed. As much as change is happening, you don't have to rush into it, because you don't want to get it wrong. There's over 400 zero add-ons. You couldn't possibly know all of those. So
and change is the change. I haven't seen a successful business besides in the accounting sector, and I've dealt with a lot of businesses in my lifetime that change overnight. There are the few businesses that change overnight. You probably find that's one person in the company, and I can wake up tomorrow morning and change my business because I want to do this instead of that. A very good book in terms of transformation is a book called The Intentional Accountant by an author called Darren Root. He's American, CPA, so don't let that put you off, especially the first 6 chapters. If you're looking at transformation, this is a very good blueprint when it comes to change and how to manage change. And we're not talking about a small firm here. We're talking about a very big firm and how they transformed. We work with Sharon. Sharon is one of our very first partners, but then we also work with accounting firms that range from, the one-person firm all the way up to the big 4 top 50s. Change is difficult, change is hard, but it's doable.
And
okay?
Nelson, I think it's also inevitable. So, it's what do they say, death and taxes are guaranteed. I think probably change fits within that mix as well. To touch on your point and absolutely supporting what Sharon has said, we would refer to it as the nearest crocodile to the canoe. So actually, in regard to the change that's about to happen, what's the biggest opportunity that's closest to you and the biggest risk? And we would use that as a barometer around actually what the change that is about to happen. What's the biggest opportunity that can be afforded to me, and what's the change I need to put in place to really make that happen and empower those around me? And actually, therefore, what's the biggest risk? And exactly the same, what do I need to put in place to minimize that risk? For me, it's around, and for your good selves as well, minimizing risk, maximizing opportunity, and whichever is closest to me, then
and
dealing with
accountants
it
are very good at minimizing risk.
Maximising
Calculated
opportunity.
risk.
Yeah.
Can I add, for the team members, you touched on, what if the team are sick and tired of all these changes and they just want to get on with their job? And I do hear that from some accountants. And the first thing is, you need people who are excited about change. If they, every time you bring a change, they go, oh my gosh, that's probably not the kind of people you want to work with if this is the kind of person you are. And we have a client I was just talking to recently who actually sacked 7 people from his firm. So he went down from like 11 to 4 because they would not work with 0. And there he is. It was at 7, 6. Yeah. So that was integral to how Richard's running his firm. And he's saying, this is the direction we're going, and we'll work with you and work with you and work with you. But if there's a line eventually, and you've got to draw that line, and you have to know what it is. I'm not prescribing that you all go away from this conference and do that. You know, we're back to the what's right for everybody is not what's right for one person is not right for everybody. But you need to have people who are excited about change. And the second thing is, when we think change, it might not be massive change. It might be just a little adjustment. So you've got the engine of 0, say, and then you adjust it a little bit and you start offering 0 training, or you do an event, or you add an extra add-on. So it's not the end of the world, it's just a little step up. Yes.
Yeah.
And on the point of all of this, it's the client. So some of you heard Michael speak this morning, and Stephen Paul of the Valued. The truth of the matter is, clients want something different. Client expectations have changed. I know that someone in our office sent through a little, is it a GIF, of how the desk has changed since 1983 to 2015, how a desk has changed. And everything they had on their desk, I remember clearly, which is the scary part about all of this. But the point is, that is exciting. And no matter what you think, your clients are going to want something different. They expect something different. I look at the people we employ, some of them in the back there. To them, you know, technology, mobile phones, TVs that can talk back to you, all of these things are absolutely, well, why can't you give me that on a mobile phone? So clients is extremely important. And Sharon, I know you wanted to touch on this in terms of the experience.
Yeah, but well, these are real clients. We've got permission to talk about them. This is something we've got amazing clients that we work with. It's really important for me to be able to promote them, so I do ask their permission. You know what we're all like about confidentiality. That's as far as I go. Obviously, I'm not going to give anything away. But this is a good example of clients. What you want is clients you are really passionate about yourselves. So there's no point having clients that you just groan when they ring up, like, oh my God, they're ringing again, and they make you unhappy, or
none of us
they
have
make
those.
None of us do. But if you did, or they make your staff unhappy, or heaven forbid they shout at your staff, I'm not having that. But clients like this, we've done so much more than compliance work with them. We've helped them with award applications and went to the awards with them, which they won, and all sorts. We've helped them with share buyouts and all sorts of stuff, and now they're seeking external investment and things. But it's exactly what Chaz was saying this morning. We are there the whole time. They look after us. We do so much for them, and 10 o'clock at night, I will answer emails and I will do stuff for them. But then they take me to things like the Save the Rhino charity dinner, and it's amazing. So, so it's all about work. I think it's really key to work with the right clients. We've got a little case study that Rachel and I have worked loads on. These are the Shack Revolution. Again, we've got permission to talk about them. James on the...
On your right, as you look at the screen on your right is James.
Thank you very much.
On the left is Rich.
He's just been announced as a presenter on BBC Harvest 2015, but we were integral with their growth plans. We were in a position last year with them where they were laying staff off and really unhappy, and we were really working with them closely as to what they would do, what they should do next. And we're now working with them on some serious tax planning issues because they've got profits they need to get rid of in less than 12 months.
I like that.
It's amazing. So they've opened a pop-up in Hereford, which is the place to go now. It's packed all the time.
Tax haven, I hear. But I think just the fact that the way Sharon's talking about this just goes to show what's possible. One thing that I found coming into this sector is the person who most undervalues the ability you have to impact a business is yourself. I've never found a bunch of more group of people, if I may, and I'm South African, so I can say what I like. I don't have to worry about etiquette. Is you just undersell yourselves. I've never, I thought if I had the opportunity you have dealing with clients and the impact you can make on someone's business just by sharing the knowledge you've achieved, the strategies you understand in terms of business, understanding what the numbers mean, because the numbers never lie. You're being able to direct and mold and coach clients. The only people holding you back is yourself. And Sharon's a good example of that. When I'm speaking about product design, that's a product. What she's delivering to these clients is a product. You might not think it's a product. I'm sitting here thinking, what a great product that if you could package it, get Karen, get Rachel involved, how much of that product could you sell? But sorry, I digress. Rachel.
As ultimately going to say exactly that people buy people. So one of the mantras we have at Business Checkmate is we want unequivocally everybody that we work with to be better for knowing us as the business, to be performing better as a business, but actually as people to be better for knowing us. And in return, what we ask is we're better for knowing them. And if ever there is a point where those two don't tally, then we would choose not to work with that client. And we would recommend there's another coach that they could work with that could be brilliant for them. Because actually it's a two-way relationship that you're forming. So if you've got the choice, pick the clients that really get you as a business and you really get them and take the time to get them as a business. And then you've got a winning formula around actually people do buy people. Valuable. And you understand absolutely that business. Valuable. And that's absolutely what happened for us with the Shack is really, we got to know them, the DNA of who they are as a business, not only what their identity is, but who they aspire to be, back to the vision, and who they are as the people that drive it, Rich and James. And Rich will, not thank us. He gave us approval to use the Shack's name with view to that. Rich is the one on the left as you look at the screen that we had to explain to anybody, any females in the audience, that he is single.
He was quite clear on that.
For us, allowing us to use the Shack brand. But get to know your clients and really value them, and actually that they bring as much to your life as you bring to theirs. That would be the request I would make of you.
But these guys are a really good example of how we work well together. So again, Chaz this morning was saying about getting the right advisors. So we would meet together. So rather than Rich and James coming and meeting me, the accountant, and talking about their plans for the pop-up and all sorts of other things, and then going to meet Rachel, we would meet together. And classic, I would say they're talking about their plans for the pop-up, and I'm going, cash flow is key, right? Your costs, your cash flow, that is key. Rachel?
No, we were having heated debate because cash flow clearly is key, and I absolutely support that. But actually, your identity, your route to market, your voice in the marketplace, and actually how you drive yourself forward, and what's your biggest opportunity? How do we maximise that? Was a very different kind of dialogue that we were having. So that shows how we work really well together. Because again, back to the holistic viewpoint on the business, not just the one avenue that you take.
And we provide nice biscuits to clients like that.
And sweets, don't you? You've got your business cards.
Oh yeah, mints.
You've got your mints.
Mint cards.
You've got your mints. So moving on from clients, we move on to the fact that I was talking about products. I know it's a strange word to throw around that accounting thing about you putting products together, but just interchange products with services and you get the gist. There's the mints. Are those the mints?
There's the mints
on the top. Oh, yes. Actually, I need some more, please.
I've got a whole box full in my bag.
Have you? You've always got them with you.
Like a dealer, Rachel.
Like a mint dealer.
So services is extremely important. Sharon, do you want to take us through the services that you've introduced, or how services have impacted your business?
Yeah, I think it's ever evolving, but we do the compliance stuff, but compliance doesn't change lives, does it? And that's the dull stuff for us as accountants as well as clients. They need this stuff done. They don't really want it done. The stuff that needs to be filed with the tax office in Companies House. What they are becoming. What they really want more now is they do want more business support. So we because we're online with them, then we can see their data, so we can offer things to them that you wouldn't be able to if your client was using Sage or spreadsheets or something. You wouldn't be able to dip into their data and say, you can take some dividends this month, but you need to put this much by for tax, or you've got a bit of a problem here or there, or like they might phone up. Can I buy a van? Well, I don't know. You've got spreadsheets. How can I tell you? Or, oh, hang on a minute. Let me log in. And we work really closely with a financial advisor as well. And he'll, obviously with the client's permission, he'll ring up and say, do we need to do some investments for the client? What are their profits looking like? Hang on a minute. I'll just log into Xero. So the clients are happy for us to do that. Services. So we're expanding on this all the time. But again, with something like Xero, we can now, with their data, we can pull that out of Xero into Spotlight reporting is what we use. And they've got really funky dashboards. I know there's Crunchboards here as well that do a similar thing. So lovely visual dashboards that work really well on tablets, or you can email PDFs. And like the basic report that a client will see is the things that matter to them, turnover, profit and cash. And they get that very visually. So they're not asking for that. But then, again, that might lead into more things like, oh, we really like that. We'd like more of these. Oh, well, we need to move you up to the next package then. So, but we're doing a lot of business advice, a lot of the FD services, management reporting and stuff.
And on that point about FD services, sometimes when someone mentions, virtual FD services and all of this, everyone gets in their mind the type of business that would want this. I can tell you for a fact that this will stretch all the way down to a sole trader. A sole trader does need FD services. Obviously, you're not going to market to them as an FD service, but they do need to know that, your tax bill is going to look something like this. Maybe you should put a few extra quid in the bank. Can I buy the van? How should we buy the van? Should we maybe not buy the van and lease the van? So all of that, again, innovative. Is it innovative being a financial? No, but it's how do you package it and how do you go and message it?
I was going to say on a marketing side, most of the accountants, as Nelson was pointing out, that we work with have this tendency to go, I don't want to shout about myself. I don't want to just stand up on the rooftops and say I'm the best accountant that ever was. And there is a little misunderstanding with marketing that that's what it is. That's what you have to do to get the business. You have to be aggressive and you got to stand right out there and say, hi, here, fling business cards around like sweets. And that's not what we're talking about when we talk about professional services marketing. It's about building up you already have the expertise, but it's about building up your visible expertise so people can see it and connect with you. And that's the beautiful thing about marketing for accountants, is that you can just, you might not want to say, we work with these clients and we were amazing and we did all that. So just put that all on your clients. They're amazing. They did all these things. And oh, by the way, we helped them. The message will get across, but you don't have to do it in a pushy way. You just present the facts. As Nelson says, the numbers are there. I have a client who said to me that they have a 100% rate of getting funding for clients who need it. That's one of their specialties. I said, front page of the website, mate. That's where it has to go. Because and when you look at his current site, we're working on rebuilding it right now. So his current site, it's a bit outdated, has it on, you have to click about 4 times. It's in really tiny font in the middle of the page amongst all this stuff. And of course, as a marketer and designer, I'm saying you got to bring those facts to the front so that people engage with you and so that they feel like they know you. And then you're selling based on results and connection, not just products and services.
Definitely. It's all about the relationship as well. So, and again, if you do good things for your clients, who do they know? You don't know who they're going to be talking to and telling people about you. So all of these guys shout about us all the time. But also, you may think a very small sole trader, is it worth doing this extra work for them? Well, yeah, where do you know where they're going? They might be the next big growth company, or their best friend might be. So if you're doing good things for them and they're telling other people down the pub and stuff like that, then that can only help as well. That's all free advertising, isn't it?
Sure.
Can I ask how you'd actually track that as a metric, like Net Promoter Score, or how?
With
what
clients
data do you
recommending
have apart from the fact that you instinctively know that everybody loves you, right? But
No, I
no, but I mean, like, how would you if you were to measure it, right? Our customer intimacy has increased 3.2% over the last quarter. How would you do that? I mean, through zero, or what practical things do we do?
There's one thing. Everybody that comes to us, we always ask where they've come from, and then we can put that into. Obviously, we use Zero Practice Manager, which I've customised to the hilt. So, but I think there already is a field in there that you can put where your referral source is. So we manage that. We make sure we look after clients and give them presents and stuff. But I think. It's in the overall feel of things. So I know an accountant, I've got all my numbers and stuff, but it's in the overall feel, and it's the quality of clients that we're now getting. So whether they've come word of mouth or whether they've come through Google, we'll get onto branding, if they've seen the website and stuff, then you get that really good feeling that actually you're getting a better quality client. So I know if you've started up on your own, you might take everything, you'll take all the clients that are coming to you, whereas actually when you start to get into a better position, you can be a bit more picky. So so that's what I mean. We've got much better quality of clients coming through now.
I think I was just going to add on to that as well, that really around the value piece, so understanding the value that you bring and being really, really clear on that. That was my point around. So if you explore with your client, what is their need, what is their pain, and then you match it. Because as business coaches, we will go in and say, absolutely, as a business, know what your strengths are and ultimately play to those strengths. But also understand what your weaknesses are and bring experts in who fill that gap. And as accountants, that is your real opportunity to shine, because you can go in there and say, okay, numerically or financially or business planning, I'm not where I need to be. I need a really great accountant who can help me with that. And that's the value that you bring. And ultimately, that's the pain problem you solve for me as a client. That was exactly that. Understand the pain and then meet that pain and keep it simple, and absolutely that's your chance to shine.
Yeah. And on that point of value, which excites me a hell of a lot, is if someone values you, you can price it accordingly, and that's the point. The point about all of this, what's systems, technology, messaging, vision, all of these things put together, is if someone's going to value you, they're going to be prepared to pay for you because they value you. And the trick there is that everyone values things differently. But having a relationship, and the importance of a relationship with a client, is you're going to know what they value. And once you know what they value, guess what? They'll be prepared to pay you. And it's not going to be a commodity sale. So we've just got the 10-minute warning. I'm sure it's down to about 8 minutes, but no one's got anywhere to go afterwards. I think we've locked the door.
Nelson, we can merge some of the rest together. We're branding and engagement we wanted to talk about.
Yes.
So for me, I just take over, shall I? Sorry about that.
No. I thought we arranged this.
So branding and engagement was going to be our next point, which is the next slide. But that's all about, yes, client engagement, staff engagement, but also I think it's key to have a blog and to be really active on social media.
Yep.
Yay! So I think we can talk about all of that together, can't we, rather than separate points. So we had a new website and branding in November last year, and I'm really, really proud of it, and I know the staff are. It's with us all the time. It's who we are now, and it's definitely brought us new business. So I think it's key. If you haven't got a website at all, you need one. And if you might need one updating. We get a lot more clients through Google searches. We don't rank first. I think we're in the first 5. But they look at all the other website and then they stick on this one because it just shouts at them, and we've got a picture a bit later of all our lovely smiley faces, and people come to us saying it was the smiley faces that did it. I'm engaging with a real person already, so
Correct,
I think that's key. I'll shut up.
So what we say alongside that is maximise your routes to market. So we talk about social media, we talk about websites. So as many routes to market to get your message out there, please exploit them, use them, maximise them. And then look at your brand, your consistency and feel. Whoever comes into your contact with your business from whatever avenue, make sure that the look and feel and identity of your business is the same. Whether they interface with you personally, come to you via Twitter or via another social media channel, via your website, make sure the look and feel and the cultural brand is the same, so your identity is consistent.
We're always getting accountants pretty much asking, what's the thing? If I'm going to do social media, is it Twitter, is it LinkedIn, is it Facebook? What's the answer? Should I do social media? What about SEO? Do I need to be number 1 on Google? What happens if I'm number 2? And what we're finding is that it really comes down to this foundational level of showcasing your expertise. And the key is for your marketing to be stackable. So you have this happen on Twitter, and then this happens in email, and then that happens on your website, and it builds and it builds and it builds. That's the best kind of marketing. So the unfortunate thing for those who want to know what the answer is you do all of the things until you figure out which ones really work for you and for your clients.
And attracts the clients you want.
Yes, so I've got a client who specializes in charities. So we were saying Facebook and Twitter, much more for them maybe than LinkedIn or Instagram, although I don't know, it might even be Instagram, but we're getting a social media expert, we don't profess to be, to make sure that we know, so then she's going to try it. And then once you try it, you see what works. And if that works really well and you get loads of engagement on Twitter, well, keep going on Twitter and don't worry about Facebook, or the other way around.
Exactly.
It's interesting that there's people that I've met today that we think we know each other, but it's just through Twitter. And that happens at home as well, so that we're involved in different networking groups. And it's really weird when people come up to you and it's through your Twitter. So I think it's really key to have a face, a picture, a photo,
and
rather
if you
than
think
a brand.
of your clients and you think of the next generation of clients, which are going to become clients of yours, how do they... it's this whole tribe mentality, this whole community mentality. I just look at everyone that I know that has got kids that are a bit older than mine. They're forever on their phones. Okay, I'm forever on my phone. But so how are they engaging with them? Are they engaging with them on WhatsApp and all these other things out there? Not that you should, but anyway, 5 minutes to go, and I think we've got a few more things to go through. We've got systems.
I think with tech was one of them. We've talked quite a lot about tech, though, so I think we've covered that. Smiley faces. So that's on our website. Sorry, Elaine.
So to the point earlier about the staff, I mean, that's extremely important. I'm sure I don't have to speak about that, because if you look at Sharon, what you don't see today is there's a system. Sharon has a process. If I go, there is a process. Okay, you can't see it. It's not visible today, but Sharon has got a process. They know what needs to happen. They've got a system in place. The people that work for Sharon understand it. The reason they're there is because they part of that, the human part of that system in their process. And then what Sharon's done is just gone out and got the technology. So the fact that she's got 3 people working for her is not a reflection on how small the practice is, because what it is, it's a reflection on how good the systems are that she's got in place and the use of technology she has and everything else that surrounds and embraces that. You can tell me I'm absolutely wrong, but I think I'm quite
I'd say that
spot on there.
Yeah, I think that's right. And talking about staff and technology, I think it is key what we were saying before about having the right staff, and if they find that actually they've had enough of you keep changing things all the time, they're probably the wrong ones. So we have had that situation, no longer, but we're attracting staff who have heard of us and want to work for us. So Elaine's a good example. She approached me and said, I really want to come and work for you. And got her zero certification before she started. So there's like commitment. She hasn't even started work yet. And she's just taken the bull by the horns and taken so much pressure off me, and engages with the clients in a lovely way, and really keen on the technology and stuff, and, you know, manages processes. I don't know what else to say.
Are there questions? We've got a few more minutes before we have to wrap up for a coffee break upstairs. Are there any questions? There has to be some sort of question. Is that all crystal clear? Yeah, please.
So it's more, I guess, in terms of sort of future-proofing your skill set, if you will. And I just wondered if you were in charge of writing the accountancy kind of qualification curriculum. What one kind of skill would you put in there that isn't in there today?
That is interesting. I think in any accountancy training, I'd probably expel Sage, and maybe replace it with something a bit... no Sage in the room. I think it's key that trainees do understand this technology. I don't know how you'd go about that, but there's lots of talk, like at the Receipt Bank Partner Exchanges, Practice Exchange, there's a lot of talk around there should be some kind of cloud academy or cloud university. So slightly skewed answer to your question, but I think there definitely needs to be something in training our younger people up to, so that we can employ them. This needs to come into it, because actually, although I've said it's brilliant, we're attracting the right staff, actually it is really hard though to find staff, and it's common. I think you'll probably find across all accountancy practices in Hereford there's a big problem with finding the right staff, accountancy
I think that's
staff.
nationally. So if we think of all the partners, Sharon spoke about the practice exchanges which we run. Of the biggest challenge most people face today in transforming their practices, building new practices, whatever, is finding the right people. And that's an absolute challenge. My view has always been a very different one, is you only need a person with the right attitude, because everything you do can be taught, because you don't need them to be doing the advisory service. That's why you're there. So everything else, and that's what technology enables, is, guess what? We recruit very bright young graduates from the top 10 universities in the UK. They're bright, they're intelligent, they're curious, and they work. Starting out their career, they're ambitious, motivated. They've got the right attitude. I'm an old man, I can give them the skills. I can teach them the skills, and everyone says, how do you get people to perform at the level that these people perform? Right attitude. And I think that's a problem. You're always looking for a qualified or apprentice. Just look for someone that just has got the right attitude. Trust me, anyone in their 20s is a technologist in the making. They know technology better than you think. I mean, I've got a 6-year-old who helps my wife with her iPhone. So
I think the only point that I would add to that, and that we observe in business as a whole, is great communication skill. So forgive me, I don't know what the guidelines are around, but actually around accountancy as a whole and best practice. What I encourage you towards is you can be as gifted and as knowledgeable around process and best practice. If you can't communicate it or don't have a team around you that can communicate it effectively in line with your brand and as a real advocate, a real champion for who you are, then we come unstuck. So the request I would also make is absolutely superb communication skills, or the desire to become very good at communicating your brand and the best practice of your brand.
And I would just add that you need to be in a continual hiring position. You are always hiring. You might not even know what position for, but if you're hiring the right people, and I do agree with Nelson,
find them a job.
in the sense that if the person's attitude and desires are right, and they have the technological desire to learn, then you can fit them in. And there's a big argument for having an idea of all the people you would love to hire if you could, and then also having a pool of people that you like. This is somebody I saw on LinkedIn. This is somebody I met here. This is somebody I met there. I would love to hire them. Just file them away, stay in touch with them, be friendly, be personal. Who knows? In 2 years' time, they might not like what they're doing and come and work with you.
So just to end off the session today, those are the takeaways. I think the biggest takeaway that I think all of us will agree in terms of what we would like you to go away with is just an open mind. Because none of this is impossible if you're thinking, you know what, I'm not sure. You just be open-minded about the fact that this is an opportunity. This is an absolute opportunity. Alexis, who's the CEO of Receipt Bank, and I, we're a few years apart in age, so he's got more grey hair than me, so it's more noticeable on him. We always say, if we were to start a business today, it would be an accountancy business. Gosh, we would love to be in your position. Unfortunately, we've got to run Receipt Bank. But if we could, because the opportunity that you have right now in your hands, it's absolutely for someone who loves business and has been in business since apparently hiring out my bicycle to friends to ride. I would love to be in your position right now, because really go out there, grab the bull by the horns, get the right attitude, put the right systems in place, attract the right people, and get a team around you that can help you. Rachel's you couldn't get a better example than that. Karen, when you're looking at marketing, you don't have to be the expert. Trust me, I'm an expert at nothing. I've just surrounded myself with people that know more than I do. And it's treated me well for 20 odd years in business, so I'm not complaining. So I'd like to thank you all. All of this will be available on Accounting Web, and all of us are available for speaking slots whenever you want.